An article in the Sunday Post of May the 4th about 0 hours contracts. Lesley Riddoch writes, "Well, so much for David Cameron's big society. It seems 1.4 million Brits are on 0 hours contracts. That means no guaranteed minimum number of hours to work or to be paid for. The Prime Minister thinks that's fine. Presumably, he thinks folks sit in the sun, reading Brideshead Revisited and nibbling peeled grapes from Waitrose before finally rousing themselves to work, only for the time they actually perform. No hanging about, no pointless meetings, more time off, and a better use of everybody's time. In your dreams, Dave. 0 hours contracts mean workers can't leave the workplace because they might be on again, or relax and plan or look for other work. That means no chance of a mortgage because there's no pledge to a regular secure income by the employee or the employer, even though a worker could work this way for years. In fact, there's no contract at all in this 21st century form of slave labour, just the state-sanctioned coercion of desperate workers into signing away their rights and hopes of a decent standard of living in the 7th wealthiest country in the world. The Office of National Statistics has found an extraordinary growth in these contracts, and they found out who tends to be on the receiving end. It's women, 55%, the under 25s and the over 65s, kids in full-time education, and half of all the workers in the food and tourist sectors. 9 out of 10 McDonald's workers are on 0 hours contracts, and they're definitely not loving it. Shockingly, after last week's scandal over standards in an old folks' home, the care industry employs 160,000 staff on 0 hours contracts. Even hospitals in England employ anaesthesiasts and radiologists grouped in banks to fill rotas. And the most shameful revelation of the lot is that big companies are the most likely to use them. The companies making millions and threatening to leave if Scots back independence are also the most likely to leave their staff in the lurch. But 0 hours supporters say Britain must be more competitive to win the jobs. Actually, the UK workers already get well below the EU average wage and less than average employment protection. Meanwhile, the UK companies pay below average on corporation tax, and still Britain shows scant signs of real recovery. That could be because ordinary workers spend time and stimulate the economy, but the government is pouring tax relief and bonuses into the overflowing pockets of the fat cats instead. A third of 0 hours workers want more hours, but it pays these bosses to keep their staff on edge. Young mums might welcome a contract with flexibility, especially as childcare costs are so high, but without a consistent plan to working life, 0 hours contracts mean zero predictability and zero relief from the constant worry of failing to make ends meet. So here's a suggestion. Why doesn't Cameron try working on a 0 hours contract for the rest of his time in office and see how he gets on? We could pay him for the minutes he speaks at Prime Minister's questions, but not for the time he sits listening to Ed Miliband. After all, he could be making a shopping list, reading a book, or chatting to that nice Nick Clegg. We pay him for attending cabinet meetings, but again, only when he's actually speaking. Preparing for events, travelling to foreign destinations, and cycling from home, if he still does that. I'm sorry, but they don't qualify as work. So Dave, it's easy. Walk the walk, try a 0 hours contract yourselves, or end them now.